Are you in for such a treat today? We are going to have a powerful conversation about recruiting. Or for some of you, that word might not seem to fit in whether you're in nonprofit, whether you're in coaching. But here's the deal, it's about inviting other women into what you are passionate about, what you are excited about. And I have this incredible guest, Heather Burns, right in front of us here. I'm going to be giving you her bio in just a moment. This beautiful little spark plug was an eight-figure earner in the industry, and she's going to share with you how her heart and her mind and perspective about recruiting, about inviting other women. Why was she able to do it with ease and with joy? Why was it? It never was a burden for Heather or something heavy. It was just a joy, and it helped her to blow up her business. So we're going to be looking at this from a kingdom perspective, and I can't wait to introduce you to Heather.
Thank you, Gail. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here. And the beautiful part of this is it doesn't matter what business you're in. These tools and this mindset really we're going to end up talking about, it flows into everything because I've done other businesses that I've been able to take the same mindsets and apply to coaching, right? What I'm doing now,
Yes.
or a boutique, or I had a t-shirt, a faith-based apparel business, and it works. And it all starts with your thoughts around what you are thinking about what it is that you're about to do.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me formally introduce this beautiful woman to you, and then just give you some perspective on the life and what she's about. Heather Shriver Burns is the founder and podcast host of Seek First CEO, where she offers coaching and mentorship to help kingdom entrepreneurs achieve more profit and peace without sacrificing their sanity, health, or relationships. Aren't we all yelling amen, amen, amen? With a decade of experience building 6 to 8 figure businesses, Heather found her calling in leading, mentoring, and teaching other ambitious, servant hearted female entrepreneurs how to partner with the Father to fulfill their purpose and calling. She created Seek First CEO to share the integrated approach that she developed through her own entrepreneurial journey and certifications. So, listen to this. She blends neuroscience, biblical principles, and practical business strategy. She loves helping clients with their mindset, heart set, and soul care to overcome any barriers keeping them from reaching their full potential. Heather doesn't do surface. So get ready to go deep and get to the heart of the matter quickly so that you can get unstuck and grow your faith and your business. So excited to have you with us. And I know from my listeners just hearing that, clearly they can hear how your and my hearts are so aligned. And that is why it's just such a joy to work with you, to meet with you, and to just bring you on. So, Heather, I want to just open up with a little intro into the backstory, really. Of these businesses that you've had, and give everybody just that snippet of what is that mindset at a high level? And then I know we'll go deeper and deeper as the conversation goes on.
Yeah. So to kind of take you back to the very beginning, I actually went to school to be a teacher. That's what I'm certified in. My bachelor's is in. And I did that for a few years and realized that's not quite what I wanted to do. But God is a redeemer. And so even throughout my journey of entrepreneurship, I thought, gosh, I've wasted, like, did I waste that? And he's like, no. You are a teacher. You are still a teacher. That's a spiritual gift of yours. You just teach a different type of classroom, and it's not children, it's adults, right?
Amen. Amen.
So I was a teacher turned business. I loved. I thought I was going to be a VP, of some business, and I fell in love with sales, and I went from the classroom to selling education curriculum, which was such a easy transition, and I was still in my same wheelhouse and it felt comfortable. And then I've done a lot of other sales, working for Fortune 500 companies in a variety of ways. And what I fell in love with sales was that I learned that it was relationship. It was all
Mm.
about relationship building, and it didn't have to be this dirty word, that dirty car salesman we think of. And there really was this. I saw this connection. It was like the more you get to know people and the kinder you are, the more you show interest in them, and genuinely, right? That's what sales is. And it's that like, no trust factor. So transitioning into, I got married, and I was working in a very high stressed, very demanding sales job.
Mhm.
And my whole pregnancy, I ended up getting pregnant right away after we got married. And my whole pregnancy, everyone was asking if I was going to quit my job. And I was like, absolutely not. Being a stay at home mom was not on my radar. I had zero desire to do that. My mom was a stay at home mom, and I really didn't want that life that she had, or so I thought. I didn't want that life. And then I held that baby in my arms, and the world changed. And I thought how ignorant I was to not really know how he would change my life. And so in 2014, was my first go with entrepreneurship, and that started in network marketing. And I had the mindset that I saw other people doing it. I really didn't know what I was getting into. It really started out with my own health and fitness journey, losing all this 60 pounds from my first baby, and wanted to get healthy for really, really healthy for the first time in my life, not just lose weight. And because I had this baby to take care of. And so I ended up getting in this journey of health, but then I saw these other women like actually making a life of this lifestyle and building businesses and leadership and mentorship. And so I was like, well, if they can do it, I can. And that's probably where my first mindset was so helpful, that I thought if they can do it, why not me?
Wow.
Rather than, oh, they have this and I don't, and all those things. And I don't even know at the time that I realized that, but I do have the gift of faith. And I do think that's a beautiful thing as an entrepreneur too, because it's like, well, anything is possible.
Yeah.
So that started my journey in entrepreneurship, built all these businesses in that field that were super successful, but I always felt like something was missing. And so again, I think once you start to become an entrepreneur, you hear the 7 streams of income and how important it is to diversify your portfolio. So I was like, all right, well, I'll start a faith-based apparel business because I loved sharing my faith and cute clothes. And I was like, oh, well, I should probably start a boutique because I can sell all the things that match the shirts and the hats. And then I started a coaching business because I realized that there was so much disconnect between people saying what they wanted to do and them actually doing the thing, especially when it came
Amen.
to health and fitness,
Yes.
which has really led me to where I am today. And so in my own journey of seeing that I had limits and that I
Mhm.
couldn't quite figure out what was holding me back, what was, keeping me stuck,
Yeah.
I kept pursuing the next level, but trying to understand what is it that's keeping me from that, which led me into the neuroscience route of I was doing everything that the Bible told me to do, or I thought I was. Like, I was reading the Bible, I was praying, I was trying to set goals with God, I was spending time with him. I was doing a lot of really good things, but I still couldn't quite get to what is it that is holding me back from this next level. And that's where I fell in love with how science simply complements all these verses that I knew. I just didn't know how they went together.
Yes. Beautiful, that convergence that he brings. I wanna go back because I think one of the first things, when you're inviting someone into your space, which Heather's gonna get into, well, again, like we said, whether you're nonprofit, you're coaching, you're in direct sales or network marketing, I think what most women get hung up on is they get afraid of what the outcome's going to be,
Oh yeah.
instead of focused on what is the invitation? What is the story? What are you inviting them into? And when you said that those in those early days in your network marketing business, when those others cast vision for you, they didn't even know they were doing it. But when you get really good, I don't care. Like I said, if you're a coach, if you're in ministry, if you're in direct sales or network marketing, when you get really good at being able to cast a vision in front of someone about what can be for their lifestyle, something in them starts to shift. And Heather just described that for herself and her shift that happened. And I just want to, I want to go into Heather, the mindset around why do you think so many women get wrapped up in their fear of what other people are going to think, say, or do, rather than get excited about inviting women into the freedom and joy that they're experiencing in their business?
Yeah, well, you said I cut to the chase and I go deep, so
Yes,
let's do it.
let's
Um,
do it.
because we could fluff it up and all kinds of things, but at the end
No.
of the day, when we find our identity in what other people say, other
Oh,
people think, that is where our foundation can be super shaky. And
yes.
I know that from experience because
Yes.
after building my largest, most successful network marketing business that went to 8 figures, it all crumbled and I lost it all. And in losing it all, I realized that I actually had built all of that on a very shaky foundation. I hustled my way to success. I strived. I stressed. I was burnt out, stressed out, overwhelmed, all the things,
Mhm.
neglecting my health, neglecting my family, neglecting all these things in the name of look at God blessing me. And I had a really rocky foundation. And in losing all of that, the Lord showed me that my identity was so closely tied to how much money I was making, what other people thought of me, what my rank or my title was. And that is often where, if our identity is found in anything other than what God says,
Mhm.
we will we will hesitate to do
Yes.
the things because
Yes.
we attach our worth to what other people say. And so one of my,
Yes.
actually, I wrote this down before we started, because I have to say, detach yourself from the outcome.
Amen.
True freedom comes when you are authentically, boldly sharing what it is that God's given you, whether it's network marketing, nonprofit, coaching, whatever. When
Yes.
you detach yourself, your value, your worth, your safety, God's provision for you from somebody's yes or no, you have freedom to show up authentically, knowing who you are on a firm foundation.
Wow. Well, I hope right there, that's the snippet. That is, if you can, everything in your whole world will turn on its axis if you will just adopt what Heather just said and start living daily in the truth of who God says you are, and who he says he is, and who he says you are, and letting go of what other people think or see. That freedom will help you accelerate, because you're building it all based on doing it with him. So, Heather, this idea of inviting other women to know more. You said something at the beginning, and it's so interesting. God's so amazing. I literally posted about this yesterday. And I grew up in the industry. You know that. I'm sure most of my listeners know that. And we heard often this like, know, and trust. People need to like, know, and trust you before they're going to be interested in anything you have to say. What I have found, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, what I have found is in this online marketplace now, where people are inundated every other post with someone offering them something, I believe that we built up kind of a wall of protection around us from the onslaught. Therefore, I don't think like, know, and trust is even enough anymore. And I believe that people need to feel seen, known, and heard. And I believe that's such a call from the Lord to believers, that if you will show up in the marketplace with a willingness to show her that you see her, you know her, and you hear her, that's when she becomes open to this invitation that you have, to come alongside you in whatever it is you're doing. Just give us your heart and your thoughts on that and what you see.
Yeah, 100%, because it's kind of like that me too, right? Oh, I feel seen, because a lot of the times what we don't want others to see is wrapped up in shame. And so some of our shortcomings, and again, if we struggle with perfectionism or imposter syndrome, right? All of those things are back tied to our identity. And
Yes.
we don't, especially as ambitious, high achieving women, we don't want people to see our weaknesses. But when somebody else is willing to say, hey, here's really what's going on. Like I always say that your emotions and your feelings are like a check engine light. Pop open that hood and check out what's going on underneath. Something's off. Like if it's not good fruit, right? If they're not good emotions, good feelings. And sometimes, especially if we're building businesses online, we want to give this persona of success and everything is great and look at my life and you should want this and all the things. Whereas when we can pop open that hood and let other people kind of see into what the enemy would love to use for shame. But what
Yes.
the enemy uses to shame you, God uses to literally pluck you out and say, no, baby girl, you are mine. And this is exactly why you need me, because you're not meant to be perfect. You're not meant to have the perfect business, the perfect life, all the things. You're not even meant to keep up with that persona. But in a social media driven world, man, it can be so tempting with the aesthetics and all the things. Authenticity is
Yes.
key because people don't connect with perfectionism. People don't relate to that. In fact, there's envy. Then there's all these other things that tie jealousy. There's a they're too far along. I can't even relate. And I always say this in network marketing that everybody wants to get to the top. But the reality is that most people can't even fathom making a salary in a month. Most people can't fathom that. And so even though we want to like talk about that and like show people how great this is, most people can resonate with, I would like an extra $500. I'd like an extra $1,000. I'd like an extra to pay for my whatever, a vacation or a kid's activity or what that may be. But we like to jump to the nth degree and try to get people to resonate with that when people don't really relate to it. And so the more real and authentic we can be, the better people will connect with us, which is that invitation. But if
Yes.
you're not okay with your story, which is a big thing for me, Gail, that I realized, especially in 2018 when I lost it all, I hated my story. And what did I do?
Mm,
I went and hid.
mm.
And a hiddenness can be beautiful, and it can be from God, and it can be a place and a season where he restores you and he speaks to you and he meets you so deeply in that valley. It also can be a place where the enemy uses to keep you in a cage and
Yeah.
silence you from all that God actually wants to share. And so shame wants to keep us hidden, wants to silence us. But if you're okay with your story because God's redeemed it,
Yeah.
and you're okay with where you are and your imperfections because you know you were never meant to be perfect, it
Yes.
gives you the courage to share those things with other people. And that's what people say, oh, me too.
Yes. Oh my, so powerful. I have a client who literally has blown up her followers. I think she's almost at 18,000 followers because of her authenticity. And really, I think of it from a kingdom perspective, authenticity is really like the currency of favor.
Mhm.
Because if we think in God's values, in God's perspective, when we get to show up authentically, what we're saying is, I will not stand up. I will not hide from the shame. I will not hide from the outcome. I will not live in fear. I will show up authentically and in freedom, even if especially when it's scary. I will still give God my yes. And that brings favor, that draws others to you. And the other thing that you said is, this idea of when we let go of that outcome of inviting, when you show up and you really become curious about others, and that's what the servant leader does. The servant leader doesn't show up to tell, the servant leader shows up to listen and then invite. I woke up this morning thinking, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this about if we would focus more not on telling someone about what we have and instead listening to them. And if we would focus on how do I share my story in a way that is inviting them into joining me in what I have going on here. Um, Imagine how different your day would be if you let go of that fear and shame of what the outcome might be, and you stepped instead into, I'm going to invite women in, but first I'm going to listen, let her know I see her, know her, trust her, ask her permission to invite. So tell us your mindset. I've heard you share before about your testimony of becoming a believer and how you applied that same kind of principle to your sharing and inviting other women.
Yeah. So early on in my network marketing career, all I wanted was to be home with my baby. And I did have to go back to the corporate world. So I was doing both at the same time. And I was desperate to be able to quit that job. So I had a number mark on my goal board that I was like, as soon as I make that, I'm out. And that was my tunnel vision. That's all I could think about. And in my quiet time one morning with the Lord, he convicted me in the most beautiful way. And at the time, the company I was with had these things called the 3 vital behaviors. And they believed that they stood firmly on, if you did these 3 things every day, you would be successful as an online fitness coach. And so I was like, well, shoot, you tell me to do that, I'm doing it. Right. And so the Lord showed me that those same 3 things that were vital behaviors in this business are actually 3 things that we can apply as believers. And so it was, the first one was do personal development, like 15 minutes a day. And the Lord asked me, that's great that you're reading all these books, but when have you opened up my word, which is like the ultimate business book, right? It's got so many business tools and strategies. And that's where we can meet the Lord and get the personalized ones for us. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I'm spending hours reading all these books. I became known as the personal development guru. Everybody would say, what book should I read for this? And the Lord was like, maybe you want to try opening up your Bible. I was like, okay, because that'll help. That will definitely help. And then it was to be proof that the products work.
Mhm.
And so you're consistent with it, right? There's this consistency to show other people, hey, I'm doing this. This works in your life. And he said, do people see that doing life with Jesus works for you? Is it working? I was like, holy moly. Okay. I'm so passionate about sharing these products and these supplements and these workouts and telling people how it's going to change their life. But am I inviting people to actually see how Jesus could really change their life? No, I wasn't. And then it was invite, invite, invite.
Mm.
That can be such a triggering word, but the Lord was like, are you inviting people into discipleship, into living with Jesus, into the real freedom, because I believe that financial freedom was going to bring me freedom. And yes, finances is a part of life, and of course it does make us feel like, oh, we can exhale when we know there's money in the bank, or we know that we have, money coming in or whatever. But I found that the more money I made, the less free I felt,
Wow.
because nothing was ever enough, because I was putting my safety and my trust in my finances rather than in my father. And so it was this shift of, are you being proof that I work? Are you spending time with me? And are you unapologetically sharing how I have actually changed your life? Or are you making everybody believe that they need these products and these things? And it convicted me in a way that what I was sharing was not wrong about the business, because
Right.
it really was changing my life. But it
Yes.
was an invitation for me to authentically share more about my faith through my business.
Wow. So tell us, give a little snippet. So if I know women are like, oh, give us an example. So if I'm here right now and you and I have just met and you're talking to me and you have your team growing and you have, your testimony from your products and you're going to invite me in to the company, but into a discipling kind of relationship. I know I'm totally putting you on the spot, but you're a pro. So, tell everybody what would that sound like? Like literally treat me like a potential recruit right now. And how does that look? What does that look like?
Yeah. So and this is part of my journey to healing from religion. And
Yeah,
so that can look very different, right? I don't think that I think, I'm always saying, Lord, I can talk to people about Bible verses all day long, but am I living it? And I'd rather live it than necessarily like say it. I can post all day long, and I do post because I'm
yeah,
called to the believers, and that's kind of like hey, here's who I'm called to serve, kingdom minded people.
yeah.
But even in network marketing, I wasn't necessarily like jamming that down people's throats. I
Right.
was just trying to live that. And I would interject God and Jesus and pray and, some basic faith kind of words
Yeah.
into my dialogue, whether it was on a stage training people, I was
Mhm.
unapologetic about that, or whether it was just in a team training. I offered Bible studies and other things for the women who wanted to. But I have had atheists on my teams, and we got along so well. In fact, one of them I can think of, I love her to pieces. She would always tell me, thank you for not making me feel like an outcast. And even though we don't believe in a lot of the same things, which I have to tell you, she is a believer to now. Like,
Ah,
I actually saw
amen.
her social study last year, and I was just blown away. She was like talking about how she's a child of God and all the things. And, I was like, wow, maybe I didn't lead her to Jesus, but what if perhaps that seed planted that welcomed her, that didn't make her feel like an outcast, was
Amen.
exactly what she needed to
Yes.
wrestle with some of the questions she had with God. And so,
Yes.
really taking yourself out of like, you have to lead people to Jesus, but rather naturally do it. So, if you were a
Yes.
recruit, I would do exactly what you said. I'd ask questions, because it's
Yes.
not about me. It's not about what I want. It's not about, for me as a big driven person, I want to make a lot of money doing these things. And a lot of women I work with just wanted, and I shouldn't even say the word just, but just wanted to make 500 bucks.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that feels like nothing.
Right.
But to her, that could mean everything. The
Yes.
difference between getting the car she wanted or keeping her lights on or whatever that looks like. And so it's all about asking questions. And the beautiful part about learning how to ask good questions, and that's what good coaches do, right? That is market research. And from that data, from that information is what you get to start using for your social media content to give that, use your megaphone of like, here is what I've gone through, right? Or here's what I'm going through. And you share your story and your testimony and all the things. And you start using that information to
Yeah.
call her in to say, oh, she gets me. She sees me. She hears me. She understands. And I want to be around her because I don't feel shame. I feel understood.
Yeah. Wow. So I hope everyone's hearing this because what Heather is saying is she posts her story authentically that invites other women in. But then here's the difference. When they get invited in, she doesn't bombard them with, now, this is why you need to join my company. And this is how you join my company. And this is how you're successful in my company. She doesn't move into that. I call it the four-letter word telling people, tell. She starts asking. So, what happens when Heather starts asking that woman who's been drawn in, she is deepening their trust.
Mhm.
because she's being authentic, she's being loving, she truly is curious and interested in this other woman, and this other woman starts to feel seen, known, and heard, and so then she becomes open and willing and actually often hungry for, tell me more about how I can work with you. Tell me more how I can come alongside you. You're inspiring me to be more courageous. You're inspiring me to have hope. You're inspiring me. And ladies, this is discipling. Without even mentioning Jesus's name, she's inspiring them courage, hope, joy, love, because she's exuding those things and she's being authentic. So, wow, Heather,
Yeah,
so
let me give you,
powerful.
and I maybe didn't fully answer your question. So a practical, because some people might be like, give me a practical question, Heather.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
I just want to give maybe a couple. And
yeah.
so I think one of the best questions you can ask someone is, here's a couple is, where would you like to be 1 year from now? I always use the exact date. I do this in my, and the beautiful thing too, as you learn these skills, you can apply this to any business, right? I do this for my coaching all the time. If I do a discovery call with somebody who wants to work with me, I always, one of the first questions I ask after building a little bit of rapport is, where would you like to be, February 21st in 2025? Where would you like to be 1 year from now? And that gets her future pace. That gets her to, you can kind of even see, because so many people get into these opportunities, they have no clue what's even possible. And it kind of gets you to pace. If she's saying, hey, I'd like to pay off $5,000 of debt. Okay, great. That's an awesome goal. Why is that important to you? Well, having debt in my life is so stressful. And so then again, you just keep asking questions. Or another great question is, I am so excited to share more with you, but I would love to know what's going on currently in your life that led you to have the courage to ask more information.
Wow. You
That's
guys, this is
insight.
absolute gold. This is absolute gold Heather's giving you. And I want you to hear that when she asked that question, where do you want to be in a year? And the person said $5,000 of debt gone. Notice. And I'm sure for many of you, that inclination then is, oh, I can show you exactly how to do that. That is not what Heather did. I hope this is huge. I hope you're hearing this. She then said, why is that important to you? Heather went deeper. She's focused on the relationship. She's focused on being curious. Focused on truly caring and wanting to understand the heart of this person. And if you jump right into your telling, you're going to miss the best part, right? And then, yeah, why is that? Why is that? And I love how you said, I really would like to share some things with you, but before I do that, what I really want to know is what gave you the courage. So you're telling her she has courage. It takes courage to set up that discovery call or to want to get in closer relationships. So powerful, Heather.
Yeah. Another great question I'll just add on top of that is, what do you think you need to get there? Because she might think, well, I need to sell, $100,000 of product, or I need to sign all my friends and family up, or whatever that, because you want to understand what current knowledge and understanding is she coming with.
Yeah.
Because hopefully the goal is that you can oversimplify it for her. And I was known for recruiting and network marketing. That's how I was able to build large businesses, because my first line was super strong, hundreds of people, and no ads, nothing. It was just authentic relationship building.
Yeah.
And that was what you think they need versus what they think they need can help maybe oversimplify things. And the key to, specifically in network marketing, but even in coaching,
Yeah.
it's to show people a clear path to get to that answer to that first question that they answered. Where do you want to go? And then you sharing how you can help them get there. So again, Gail, it's all of what you're saying. It's a lot less about you and you proving your value and proving your worth and you showing them that you have all the tools. It's much more about getting to know them, what they are, what their desires are, what their goals are, what they want, where they are now, why that's driving them, what intrinsic value does that hold, and then what do they think they need to get there? And then you get to come in and swoop in and say, well, can I share with you a little bit of my story? And again, this is where you can connect and then say, can I share with you how I think that this could be, if you truly believe that it could be a great fit for exactly what you need to help you get to the answer in A.
Yeah. Boom. And so Heather hasn't sold her on anything. Heather has listened, and then Heather's going to partner with what she said she wanted. and what Heather has. And then she's going to live it all in her lap for her to decide, give her the respect for her to decide. But by the time she's listened enough and shown how it's a simple path and she believes in her and joins her, I mean, she's already drawn to Heather's authenticity, her honesty, and look, she shared her story. I can get there. This was gold. If nothing else, if you pull out these three questions and you start using this, I don't care if you're in nonprofit, it's a business. If you're in coaching, it's a business. If you're in direct sales or network marketing, it's a business. And you need to invite other women in, whether they're going to be customers or teammates or volunteers to your organization or donors. You need to invite them in. Why would this be important to you? So, Heather, this was incredible. I would love for you to share. I know there are women right now like, how do I connect with this beautiful woman of God? So I'll have Heather's contact information in the show notes, but tell them in your own words. What will they be clicking on? What will you be inviting them how to connect with you?
Yeah. So the best way is probably the podcast, Seek First CEO, and it's actually getting a fresh facelift here. So I'm excited for that. And Instagram is my main platform nowadays. So you can always message me there. I love connecting with people. Like I really am about relationships. So if something resonated with you, I'd love to talk to you there. But my website hasn't been updated for a while. That's a long story. And I just don't think you need a website to be super successful, but it's a good thing. You can go to my website if you want. It's just not really updated. But podcast, Instagram, shoot me a message or an email, and I would love to connect and support you in any way.
Awesome. Well, I know you're I'll have those. I'll have her Instagram handle, as they say. I'll have her podcast link and we'll have her website in the show notes so you guys can click and connect. Follow her on Facebook. Get involved with Heather. She is just a beautiful light. If you have my app, the Kingdom Dream Chasers app, and you are in the paid member area, you will find two trainings in there from this beautiful woman of God, and they are incredible. And I strongly encourage you to get over there and listen. So, Heather, thank you so much. Blessings, continued blessings over your family, your business, and all the women that you touch and your relationship with the Lord. And thank you for being such a light.
Thank you for having me, Gail. I adore you.